Hi, how you doing? And welcome back to DeeLee Plus. My name is Damian Lee, and today I got some more OhNoConsequences for you all. As always, I'm going to be reading the posts in full and then giving my takes after. If any of the stories I read here resonate with you, sound off in the comments because I love to see what you guys think of what I cover here. And without further ado, I hope you all enjoy. Originally posted to r/malicious compliance July 31st, 2026 by Doc_Baker74 and cross-posted to OhNoConsequences Thursday, August 6th by Similar Shame 7517. Boss wants 2 weeks notice. Company loses thousands. This is my granddad's story from the late 60s to early 70s in England. And to note, he was very poorly when he told this to me. So this is the story that I managed to hear. So all of this is what I gathered. Back when my granddad was younger, he used to work at a factory making engines for cars. And despite being a hard worker, he was always disrespected and underappreciated. And he felt it more so with his boss. And despite this boss holding very little power over a very little area of the factory, this boss would constantly yell and exert his power over everyone. This story starts when the company bought a machine from Germany. And what I could gather from my granddad, this machine was like a computerized machine before computers were really a thing. So instead of one computer doing all of these complex calculations, you have pegs and wires that you have to physically move to work this machine. But he didn't say what the machine did. Now, obviously, this was complex. So the company sent a small group of workers to Germany to be taught how the machine worked over 3 months. And a group of Germans would come to England to build the machine. My granddad wasn't one of those people who went to Germany, so he stayed. But instead, he watched the Germans install the machine, and despite the language barrier, my granddad understood how it worked and how to fix it. Pretty much everything he would have learned if he went to Germany with the other workers. After some time, my granddad got married to my grandma, and realizing he needed a house, he went to the bank to talk about mortgages. But the only issue is that he gets $22 a week when he needs $44 a week to get a mortgage. So he asked his boss, who promptly said no. Later on in the week, my granddad spoke to a mate of his who's now living in France. And the friend said, I recently lost my driver's license, so I can't work for my company anymore. But they need someone to do deliveries for $48 a week between England and France. The next day, my granddad went up to his boss and asked, Sir, who do I give this 2 weeks notice into? And the boss, playing a power play, leans over my granddad, puffing smoke into his face from his pipe, and says in a low voice, You hand that to me, you understand? I'm the boss here. I'm the most important. And my granddad handed it over to him. Over the course of the 2 weeks, it was normal. Until the last day when the manager came over and said, Mike, I heard you're leaving today. Is that true? And my granddad said, Yes, boss asked me to give him my 2 week notice. And the manager went white, asking my granddad if the boss told anyone, listing anyone who had the same or more power than the boss did, even asking if the owner knew. And my granddad said no each time, with a bigger smile each time. And after everyone else on the factory went up to him asking the exact same questions, he couldn't hide his excitement. You see, what everyone failed to notice is that while the workers who went to Germany, they were in a country known for big beers and pretty women. So they learned absolutely nothing in those 3 months. And anything they did learn was quickly forgotten when they learned my granddad knew how to work and fix the machine. So, because of my granddad leaving, he effectively left with the knowledge as he can't teach anyone else in his last 2 weeks. And that's if everyone else knew he was leaving in those 2 weeks. And the ending happened 2 months later, when my granddad got a call from someone back at the company asking if he wanted his old job back. My granddad calmly replied, No, I don't want my old job back, as I'd effectively be going back in life, especially back to a job that doesn't pay me well or treat me well. And for anyone wondering what happened with the machine, it ran well in those 2 months, but someone swapped the wires for the motors, as there were 2 motors. They put the wires into the wrong ones, and that's why they called my granddad, as they effectively lost thousands for the machine. The installation of the machine and flying all the workers to Germany to basically just go on a bender. As for the boss and everyone involved, my granddad never bothered learning what happened to them, but I'd like to imagine there was a fallout, and the fires of hell rained down. But this company was one of the more expensive car companies, so in all honesty, it could have been a minor setback. This granddad did the right move, and the thing about accepting a counteroffer to stay is I feel like if he was to come back, he would have offered him a good amount of money to basically train his replacements, and then he'd be let go again. Like, I feel like that's what would be what would happen. On top of that, he went from $22 a week to $48 a week. That's over double of what he was making. Also, if you're leaving a job and it has a horrible culture, horrible management, and they want you back, never accept that, because you're going to be going right back into the same old horrible management, the same old horrible culture. And why would you subject yourself to that? The granddad put it best when he said it would be like going backwards in life. And this isn't exclusive to this time frame. This isn't like a 60s exclusive thing. This happens even nowadays with company culture and people leaving jobs because they're not being appreciated, and it, costing, power hungry executives a bunch of money because they didn't realize how valuable their workers were. Like, this is such a common story, and you never go back. Never, ever. Next post. Originally posted to r/parenting on March 18th, 2019, and posted to OhNoConsequences August 19th, 2025. Did we mess up with our son? He blew up at us during dinner. My wife, 42, and I, 45M, were having dinner with our only son, 23M, 2 weeks ago. We're celebrating the fact that he got into one of the top 10 PhD programs for physics. We were having dinner with each other at our house. My son has no past issues. He's smart, social, caring, and a hard-working boy. He has a good set of friends and an amazing girlfriend. I'm just completely shocked at what happened. The argument. Both of us were congratulating him on his achievement and told him how we were so proud of the fact that he was the first to get a PhD in the entire family. He said thanks, as usual. My wife reminded him to make it a priority to maintain contact with us when he moves to start his PhD. For some reason, he just snapped at that moment. He stopped eating for a moment, and with a stern look, he asked, "Why?" I don't know why he was angry. I just wanted to defuse a potential fight and jokingly said, "'Cause we're your parents, silly." Then he said, "Well, your job is done now. You don't need to be bothered by me. You have more time for each other now." His mom asked what's the matter. He said he doesn't understand why he does have to force himself to maintain contact with his parents who loved each other more than him. We were shocked and asked what makes him think like that. He went on his rant and said we may love him, but he was mostly a job for us that we needed breaks from. He mentioned up till starting college and the 3 to 4 vacations of 2 to 3 weeks we take in a year. We mostly went without him and dumped him at our parents' place. It's true though, most of our trips have been as couples since the beginning. This isn't the first time he brought it up. He mentioned for the majority of the weekends we had, we looked forward to our date nights more than spending time with him. He said he felt that while we did love him, he was always at the backseat of our relationship. I told him we needed our own couple time too. He said he understood that, but it seemed for him that moments of fun we always preferred to spend as a couple. The major thing is that it kicked me in the balls was when he said one of the major reasons he enjoyed college is that he no longer needed us for emotional support. He said he enjoyed spending time with his friends than spending time with us. He said that's why he wanted a dorm for his 4 years. Before he left, he said he was tired of being part of a family that placed him second when it came to love, especially when it wasn't his choice, and he wanted to be equally loved. He left dinner that night without a goodbye and hasn't contacted us since then. Me and his mom were bawling our eyes out every day since then. We can't sleep at all. The worst part is that since he doesn't need us financially anymore, he can cut us out of his life with no drawbacks. Did we mess up with him as parents? In our eyes, we did everything we're supposed to as parents. We loved him, fed him, sheltered him, paid for his tuition, and spent time with him. Apparently not enough. Forgive me if I didn't articulate myself properly. It hurts writing this. What should we do? Did we go wrong? Advice is needed. Thank you all. OP posts an update June 23rd, 2019. Just this last Friday, my wife and I came in physical contact with our son. A lot of stuff has happened between the time we last saw him storming out on us at dinner and meeting him last Friday. First week, we kept calling our son 5 times a day and leaving him 3 voicemails daily. We never heard him pick up the phone. Within the second week, his girlfriend picked up his phone one day and told us he was living with her at her apartment, but doesn't want to see us. She told us to give him time to cool down. Meanwhile, our lives at home were getting screwed over. The first couple of weeks, all our energy was put into getting into contact with him and visit us. We knew where his girlfriend lived, and my wife wanted to make a personal visit, but I warned her showing up at his doorstep uninvited is only going to make the situation worse. We called our family members to persuade him to talk to us. It didn't matter if we had his grandparents, aunts, uncles call him, but his response was politely telling them he's willing to talk to them about anything but us, and apologized if he inconvenienced them. We realized our method wasn't working. We decided to go to counseling and therapy for not only for trying to reconnect with him, but to also process our emotions through the difficult times. We slowly stopped overwhelming him with our attempts to contact him. Both our counselors suggested we respect his boundaries and let him make the first move. So we decided to leave a voicemail to his phone, that we will stop bothering him, but our door is always open to him. These 3 months was painful to say the least. Our sex life decreased significantly. There was times my wife started crying in the middle of it since it reminded her of the time we let him cry out his nightmare when he was 3 years old, but still didn't let him enter our room because we were in the middle of having sex and we wanted to finish. We didn't go on any date nights or outside of the house for that matter. My wife and I became homebodies. A lot of guilt was plaguing us. That guilt led to a time of introspection. We started doing research on family dynamics during our spare time. We asked questions to ourselves, such as, did we spend enough time with him? Did he feel like a burden to our relationship? Were we wrong to put our relationship first over a relationship with him? We wanted to be aware what was going on in his life, so we used to follow him on social media. We checked his Facebook page every day. That was a big mistake. We found out that he proposed to his girlfriend last month and she said yes. We found out through a post on his Facebook page. Yes, that's right. We, the parents, found out the engagement of our only child through fucking Facebook. Jesus Christ, as if we weren't already in enough pain. We were stuck in the same cycle again for the past until he finally reached out to us. We got a call from our son this past Monday, and it was like a positive sign from the universe. He said he wanted to talk about our relationship. He asked if he could come to our house this Thursday with his girlfriend for support. We obviously said a resounding yes. We're anxious and I didn't expect it to be a tearful reunion, but definitely a good step towards reconciliation. My wife and I discussed with each other about how to lead the conversation. We both agreed to apologize for any anguish we caused him, and to listen to what he has to say first. When it came to this Thursday, we sat impatiently waiting for him after we came back from work. When he rang the doorbell and he opened the door, there was no sense of warmth from him but a reluctant smile. His girlfriend almost felt sad being there. I had a feeling that night. They both refused any drinks we offered to them. My son felt extremely uncomfortable being there. My wife told him that if he wanted to speak first, that he should. This is what he said to us. He apologized to us if he caused us any emotional turmoil. He said his resentment started building up ever since he was little. There were a lot about our behavior that contributed to his point of view. He felt like having kids was more of a checklist that we wanted to complete, instead of being actively interested in being a parent and having a deep bond as a parent. He said that whenever there was a disagreement with one of us, that always had to take each other's side over his. It felt like there was an us versus him type of family dynamic. Whenever we came back home from work, we looked forward to seeing each other than him. When it came to spending time with him, it felt like doing stuff with him was physically and emotionally draining. Like we needed to take a break from him after having a break with him. One-on-one time felt like it was even more taxing to us, according to him. He also said that there were times we wanted to spend with each other. He said that we lit up when we wanted to spend time as a couple. He said that we put more effort into having our date nights and couple time than spending time with him. He said we seemed more upset when we couldn't have couple time over having family time. The fact we spent our vacations as a couple than as a family compounded the problem. He found it bizarre when we claimed we missed him after he came back from our trips. When he was young, he cried when we showed him pictures of our trips. We comforted him by saying we love him, but we need our couple time. He said that even made him more upset. He felt like we were using our parents, his grandparents, as impromptu babysitters. He said that this feeling was further corroborated when visits significantly decreased when he grew older. He said he gave up on having a relationship with us when he entered high school. He said he put more effort and time into his academics so he could use his energy in a more productive manner than on us. He said it didn't come as a surprise we didn't notice because we never formed a close bond with him to notice such things. He said his academics and friendships satisfied him more than spending time with us. Eventually, we were just roommates to him. He became apathetic when we didn't spend time with him and turned us down many times. We always thought he was too busy for us. He said that his bond with us weakened even more during college. He never missed us, and he got annoyed when we asked to meet him and complained about him not calling us often. He said he cried sometimes because he felt guilty for not missing us. He also said one of the reasons he did well in his academics was because he wanted to do well in other aspects in his life, such as following his passion in his physics. And he wanted to lead a happy life with us barely or entirely out of it. That's when he started tearing up at that moment. It still hurts him that the reason he's successful today is because he wanted to get away from us. He said he felt free when he went to college, and now he is soon going to grad school this fall on the other side of the country. These past few months, he realized a lot of new things. He concluded by stating what he wants for the future. He said he's very grateful for what we did for him, such as paying for college. He will financially support us if we ever need it, or be present when an emergency or family crisis occurs. Aside from that, we're not a priority in his life at all. We shouldn't be demanding phone calls or him visiting us anymore. He said he shouldn't be forced to maintain a strong relationship with us, but we never cultured it while we raised him. He states that family or not, an adult isn't obligated to have and maintain a relationship with any other adult. He said he was stuck in a relationship with us and he didn't want to have until he became independent. He no longer regrets his decision. He said in the end of the day, we chose to be his parents and not the other way around. We could have found ways to bond with him and find common ground and stuff to do with him, so it didn't feel like a burden to be a parent to him. We never incorporated him in our lives and saw being a parent akin to a job. We had every opportunity to form that close bond with him, and we never took it. Before he left, he said he wished us a happy and healthy life for us, and we're invited to his wedding if we want to come. Time froze after he left, and we were flabbergasted to what happened. It was like he divorced us. My door is always open to him, and I hope one day he can forgive us for the way we treated him. However, I don't know how to move on with this possibly permanent estrangement. Any suggestion? Thank you for reading this. Writing this alleviated my anxiety a little bit. Jack, I still love you, son. Please come back. I'm sorry. Update. There is so much judgment from you guys. I believe that the spouse comes first. Your kids eventually will leave you, but the spouse stays with you till the end. I maybe didn't have a proper balance, but no parent's perfect. I need to help get him understand that we love him and we're sorry. These two didn't learn a thing. What morons. There was something said in the first post before the update that really kind of showed me what this father was to me. He said the worst part is that since he doesn't need us financially anymore, he can cut us out of his life with no drawbacks. That sentence to me told me that the OP of this post knew exactly how horrible he's been to his kid. He just, didn't realize that, now he has a career and a supportive partner. He can just drop us with no consequences. Oh, no, you can just, drop our neglect at the door and not have to involve us. We can go no contact. And here's the thing. Absolutely, yes, time as a couple is needed. Date nights, a dinner, a movie, a weekend getaway, all of those are fine. From what the sound of it to me is, they took like 4 vacations that were for like 2 weeks at a stretch per year. They would spend 2 months out of the year away from their kid. And then they would get home and tell the kid about this. Look at all the pictures of this trip we had without you. And then make, you know what I mean? And even further than that, there's another excerpt in this story where the kid is 3 years old, crying his eyes out because of a nightmare. And instead of being parents and going to comfort the child, they're like, listen, man, I'm lost in the sauce. What are you doing? Your kid's crying outside of your room. And instead of letting him in to sleep in the bed, you guys are like, no, we're too busy doing it. We can't have that. No interruptions. I'm not surprised this kid felt so neglected growing up. They were so focused on not losing their bond as a couple that they were just parents in title and the physical care of hey, you're housed and fed. There was no emotional fulfillment of their role as a parent at all. Throughout the entire update of how much it affected them, they were it didn't feel like they really cared about how their child was going through it. It was we're upset by his actions. We're homebodies now. Our sex life has declined. There was no empathy towards their child. I don't know. These were what not to do as parents, really. And I think I don't know if impassioned's the right word here, but I'm so, angry about this kind of story because you didn't have to have a child. You know what I mean? If you wanted to just focus on your life as a couple, you could have done that and not brought an additional life into the world, who the choices you make as a parent are gonna fuck with his psyche. It's gonna happen. Instead, it really does feel like it was just a stamp in your, a feather in your cap of things you've done together. It's just, I don't know, man. Next post. Originally posted to r/relationships, May 28th, 2014 by Throwaway and Panic, and shared to OhNoConsequences, September 2nd, 2025 by Acceptable Mode 6757. My boyfriend, M25, won't ask for my hand, and my dad, M48, is staging a family boycott for my wedding. Is my boyfriend being selfish? I've been with my boyfriend, M25, for 3 years. We both just finished school and are finally ready for marriage. He proposed last week and I happily said yes. I couldn't be happier. I love him and he's gonna be an awesome dad someday. But my boyfriend is very new school and my dad is kind of old school. My dad was beyond mad that my boyfriend didn't ask my dad for my hand before proposing. He said he was willing to hear my boyfriend's apology if my boyfriend formally asks for my hand at a dinner that my dad said he'll pay for at the restaurant of my boyfriend's choosing. My dad feels like he's being very accommodating. He'll bring my boyfriend's favorite wine to celebrate. I spoke to my boyfriend last night and he won't budge. He doesn't believe in that tradition. My boyfriend showed me an article online where a Pakistani woman was stoned to death outside a courthouse because she married a man against her family's wishes. This just happened. My boyfriend, who witnessed his father be abusive and possessive with his mom as a child, has always felt strongly that women are not property. He thinks the tradition of asking her dad is repulsive. His point is that he's met my whole family. He's gotten to know them. He says they'll have always known his intentions, and he's never made it secret that he was in love with me and wanted to marry me and have children. He feels he was done enough to announce his intentions, and all of them seem to approve of him. He says that at this point he only needs my approval to marry him and nobody else's. So yesterday my mom told me that my dad, who is not even speaking to me because I won't set my foot down with my boyfriend, is calling the whole family and telling them to not attend my wedding. My mom says that my boyfriend is the one treating me like property by not letting me have a say in his decision to not observe a tradition that my 2 older sisters' husbands observed. I told my mother that I understand where my boyfriend was coming from, and that I've decided to do away with the tradition of him asking for my hand. So my mother is obviously mad and said that I should be ready for serious consequences. I asked her what, and she wouldn't say. But from talking to my sister, she said that they would blackball us from all family gatherings. My sisters and my mom have told me my boyfriend is being selfish. The wedding is set for August 9th. I'm worried that nobody in my family will attend my wedding. Edit. I'm getting some comments about my boyfriend asking for my parents' blessing instead of permission or hand. I just can't see the difference. There might be one, but I don't see it. Is there a big difference? Relevant comments. A now deleted user says, quote, my dad feels like he's being very accommodating. No, both he and your mother are being controlling, and they're attempting to make you choose between your fiance and them. Choose your fiance. Otherwise, you're setting precedent for this type of behavior and interference for the rest of your marriage. OP responds, this is what I'm afraid of. My fiance and I don't practice Catholic religion like my family does. So I wonder what'll happen when my kids aren't baptized and all that. User Pasta Nazgul says, you two need to have a discussion about how the children will be raised religion-wise now before you have the child. Just advice from someone who learned the hard way. OP says, we did. We don't want religion in our children's lives. We decided that education is going to be the main focus, and they'll make their own minds up about religion once they are educated adults. I grew up Catholic, but I don't want that for my kids. My husband grew up somewhat Christian, and he still believes in God, but he doesn't want religion to be a part of our family either. We've talked this subject to death, and you're right, it's very important. I realize we might change our minds later, but who knows? But my family doesn't know about this. I have a feeling after this boycott that my parents will stage another one when they find out we won't be Catholic. OP shares an update June 24th, 2016, 2 years later. The wedding went on as planned. My parents stuck to their guns and boycotted. One of my sisters attended and is now happily blacklisted from our family. Nobody else from my entire family showed up, including my 2 brothers. The wedding was a little unconventional. My sister walked my husband down the aisle, and then his sister walked me down the aisle. I wanted this because my sister-in-law actually introduced us and helped me get my first date with him. There was no questions about who gives away the bride or even about objections. It was normal other than that. There has been no contact between me and my family other than my one sister. My mother has made it a point to send me a card every time that they have a family gathering for holidays or birthdays at their house to let me know that my father says I'm not invited. I get one almost every month. I don't even read them anymore. I just toss them. I don't get why they keep sending them. I've made no effort to contact them, and I live over 3 hours away, so it's not like I'm gonna run into them by accident. The reason I came back to post this here is because some people here made a prediction that came true, that they would come crawling back when we had children. I'm now expecting our first child, a girl. She will be the first grandchild for my parents. When my parents found out about the pregnancy a few months ago through a family friend, they didn't waste any time in making demands. Not requests, demands. My boyfriend and I are not religious, but I had a Catholic upbringing. I don't practice at all by choice. My mother called me back in April telling me that my father wanted our daughter's middle name to be his mother's first name. I said no. My father was listening in on speaker, so I went ahead and told him that they were officially uninvited from all birthdays, graduations, and other important dates in her life. My father called me half an hour later crying and begging me to come stay with them for the birth so my mother could care for me. I said no. He also said that he had already made arrangements for his priest so he could baptize her at this church, but that I needed to agree to naming her after his mother if I wanted this to happen. He said he already planned a big celebration for the birth and the baptism that he was paying for. I said no to all of it. He went from meekly trying to sweet talk me to raising his voice at me, and I hung up. He called a couple more times to apologize for losing his temper, and again begged me to reconsider giving birth at a hospital near them so they could visit us. He denied having any knowledge of my mother sending me cards to uninvite us to any family functions, and even said that he specifically asked her to invite us, but he was told I declined every time. He lets my mom do the dirty work so he can later hide behind her and deny he had any knowledge. He's done this since I was a little girl. He does this every time he wants to drop the hammer on somebody, but be the good cop also. He'll never change. He denied having any knowledge of why anybody in the family missed my wedding. I told him our daughter would not be baptized or Catholic at all. No offense to Catholics. I told him he was too manipulative and controlling, and I didn't want my daughter exposed to that. He's too toxic and just venomous. Coincidentally, the day and for several days after that phone call, I got tons of calls and emails from my brothers, their wives, my sister, all my aunts. They wanted to apologize for missing my wedding and all had specific excuses and wanted to make plans to be there for my daughter's birth. I banned them all from her life until she left to decide for herself to let them in. My husband was a little surprised and not sure about banning everybody forever. He's more leaning towards supervised visits if they want to drive to us. My dad has been calling him like crazy, but we're a united front. My dad is deferring to me, but giving me ideas as to how I can give a little if I decide to. But with my family, there's no giving a little. They want it all. For now, they're all banned. I will reconsider when the youngest of our children turns 18. For now, my dad will have to settle for sucking up to my husband while I stick to my guns. Unlike him, I don't mind owning my decisions even if it means I'm bad cop. I'm not ready to give up a relatively drama-free, stress-free life to allow my dad and all his sheep back into our lives. Relevant comments. From a downvoted commenter, he should have just done such a small task and asked, like, to make peace. Jeez, I mean really pushing your family away for such a stupid reason, on their side and yours. OP responds, but that's the thing. After that one small task, they would want to name my daughter. Another small task. Then they would ask I go have the baby near them. Another small task. Then have her baptized by their priest. Then they pick her up from school. Then they make her life decisions for her like they tried with me and my siblings. All small tasks. OP replying to a downvoted comment that things have gone too far to make amends for their daughter. I guess I would tell you that not everything fits in the oversimplification of your comment. My daughter will be better off without a full family of manipulative, controlling, and abusive people. or people who condone such behavior. After years of abuse, I was glad my husband decided my dad's demand that he ask permission to marry me was too antiquated. The original conflict that caused this rift was years of abuse and manipulation. I chose to burn bridges that needed to go. Otherwise, I would never be free to make my own decisions about my own life without consulting with my dad at every turn. The way I've always understood that tradition, the asking for the hand tradition, is that it is very outdated and is very much like, oh, it's not her decision, it's the man's decision, right? Your father, he makes the choice, right? Now, it's very, very, outdated, misogynistic, like, it's out of, I say out of style, like it's something light, but you know what I mean? It's just not something that you need to do. It's out of our like societal norm at this point. I feel so bad for OP because she really essentially got disowned right before her own wedding. But I think just her being able to be in a good relationship with her husband and have family that did support her with her sister, and I'm sure his family, the family was supportive to them, and just having those, 2 years before the update of not having to deal with the garbage coming from her direct family and her dad, that had to have been like a weight lifted after some time. And she's like, I like it. It's quiet. I don't want to deal with the bullshit anymore. And she doesn't. She chose not to. That's wonderful. I was reading through some of the comments just from the update post that didn't make it into the relevant comment section. And like even the sister, like she couldn't be happier that she's been blacklisted from the parents. And like the way they described it was it took them both a long time to realize they had been swimming in what they called contaminated waters all their lives. Waters contaminated by the toxicity and the manipulation of their dad, who, I mean, you could see in the story there how quickly he would throw his own wife under the bus, basically, to look favorable to his, daughter and son-in-law. What the dad probably expected was that he would blacklist OP and the son-in-law, and they would come crawling back to them for forgiveness. Like, it just feels so certain that was what he expected. And instead, you want us gone? See, that's consequences. Like the subreddit says. Uh-oh, consequences. And that will be the end of this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like below and let me know what other subreddits you want to see me cover. I know I kind of go through a lot of the same subreddits, but a lot of the stories get posted there and they're fun reads. If you'd like to support this channel directly, you can use code DamianLee at GamerSupps to save yourself some money off your order. It's like 10%, it's pretty solid. If you want to know what my favorite flavors are, I've been sipping on that Goof Juice and that Crusaderade. Those have been my two favorites. Until next time, my name is Damian Lee, and I'll be seeing ya.